Hey there, folks. So, last episode we did some cleanup. We refactored our chrono manager to only need to use the float curves, the color curves. It didn't need to use the float curve for the intensity. It's all covered by our rotation value, or in the case of our skylight, the skylight color. We also went through and fixed an issue with the character jumping and the stamina use there. Now, there's one thing I did realized I didn't do on camera last episode, and I just wanted to point that out quickly. In the Chrono Manager, right here for the skylight component, this was originally skylight intensity. This is valid here. I did change that between episodes to what it should be of the skylight daily color. And the reason just for that is we're no longer using that skylight intensity curve, so can't check if it's valid. This episode, however, though, we are going to work on what are going to be shorter, probably one episode things. It's going to be a bunch of stuff, well, a few things that are going to hopefully help out with level design. These are some utility tool classes, well, not utility tool, utility classes and actors that I've used in the past, and it just helps speed up level design. So what we're going to do here, bring over our content browser. I'm going to go into our C++ classes, project public base classes. Now, this is going to be dependent on how you want to set these up. For myself, at least these initial ones, I'm not worried about anything needing to be saved. So these can just be a new actor class or derived from an actor class. So I'm going to right click off and then nowhere, new C++ class based on an actor class, and TF randomized actor. And we're going to be creating a few of these. So as you can see, I was running from Visual Studio. So we're just going to wait for everything to follow through here. And as soon as it's done, I will be right back. All right, so that has done compiling and is added in. I'll just show you in Visual Studio. It's wanting to reload. We're not going to do, actually, no, we're going to do that right now. So I'm going to hop in back to the editor. And we're just going to close out. We don't need anything open in the editor for this. Wait for that to finish debugging and start dropping down your memory usage, please. There we go. No, no, it's still. And I just hit no. All right. Well, live coding is still running. So by hitting no there and not reloading, all it's going to mean for this session is right now our files aren't going to show up over in the Solutions Explorer. Sorry, brain is not wanting to work. Why is this taking forever to shut down? I'm just going to stop. All right, and it appears my system has decided to drop one of my monitors again. Yay, Windows 11. Okay, I'll be back as soon as that's fixed. All right, got that fixed up. I really hate that with Windows 11, how it will randomly drop a monitor. So, anyways, back to what we were doing with this actor. So, the first thing we're going to do, I'll explain what this is for. This is a actor that is going to be used to help, and it's a scenic actor. It's just for creating and placing things in the world and to help speed up with some variety. So first thing we're going to need to do though is this is not something that is ever going to tick. So we're going to turn that off and we're going to get rid of our tick override. And we'll get rid of that here. And we do also need to add in the on construction override. And what this is for when it's placed or moved around in the editor. So I'm going to grab that. We're actually going to throw that up here And I just copied this off of the forum on how to use it. And that's just because I could never remember the, I'm pointing at the screen like you guys can see my hand, but I can never remember what the input parameter is, and it's a const f transform reference. So now we have that. There's a few other things we need to add. So, well, first of all, I'm going to clean these up. And private. U property. Edit anywhere. Blueprint. And apparently IntelliSense is not wanting to work. Blueprint read only. Meta equals allow private access equals true. And this is going to be a T array of static mesh. No, U static mesh. I'll have to fix that. Actor options. And then we're also going to have U static mesh component pointer world mesh. Okay, for whatever reason, IntelliSense is being annoying. I'm going to pause the video and get that sorted out because I do like to have that 99% of the time. Alright, so I got that fixed, but apparently it's not liking my U property. That's just visible anywhere, blueprint, read, write, save game. Yeah, that's... Actually, we won't edit defaults, only thinking about it for this one. So I'm going to change that over. And this one should be visible anywhere because we don't actually want to be changing this. Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure why that is still throwing. Visible anywhere. Okay, I'm just going to rewrite this. U property. Visible. Let's try that again. Visible anywhere. Blueprint read only. Meta equals allow private access equals true. You gonna complain about that one? No. Oh, yeah, use static mesh pointer. That's why. Okay, so we're going to create the definition for on construction. Now, initially, this actor is just going to randomize based on its world placement. We'll deal with some of the other stuff a little later on. So, let me find that. I can't remember the library that I need for the random. Is it just fmath? Fmath rand. Oh, it is. Okay, it's part of the fmath. Okay. So, how this actually we need to what did I call that again? World mesh. We need to create the world mesh. So world mesh equals create a default subobject. Use static mesh component. And I'm just going to call that world mesh. And then world mesh setup attachment root component. So first thing we want to do actually is make sure that this array of static mesh actors is valid. So if I can't even remember what I just called these. Actor options dot num less than or equal to 0. it should only be equal to 0 if it's null, if it's empty, but less than or equal to is a fail safe. We're just going to return. We don't want to do anything. You could add an error message in there if you want, but this is really just an editor only. And after that, it's trying to F math. Trying to remember. It's been a while since I've worked on this. Oh no, it's a random stream I need, not a random stream. F random stream, that's it. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here is I'll be expanding on this later in the episode, but I want to go through the basics so everyone understands what this is. So we're going to go int randseed equals transform x transform dot get location dot x plus transform dot get location dot y plus, and this is, it's very rough because these location values are actually floats, but I don't want to go to the level of accuracy of a float. Actually, I'm just going to copy this over. So that is just giving us a random seed. And actually, we're going to just, was it floor? Lowercase. And what this is going to do, the floor just means round it down. If you want to round up, you can use ceil, C-E-I-L. And then, okay, what do I need to include for this? frand, that's right. It's, random stream, rand stream dot initial seed. No, initialize, that's the one. Okay, does this have an override? Should take an int, right? Yep. Rand seed, if I could spell. And then rand stream dot random range 0 to actor options dot num -1, and that's to prevent the out of array index. So if you have only one actor in there, it's going to give you a range from 0 to 0, which is index 0. If you have 2, it's going to give you a range of 0 or 1. And then what we're going to be doing is world mesh set static mesh actor options. No, needed to add an int there. Int idx equals, and you can simplify a lot of this. Like we could just put this in here, but what I want to do is idx. Now this is the very basic one, and I'll just step through this before we build and hop into the editor. But what we're doing here is we're creating an actor that has a static mesh component. We are, that's the world mesh. We're also giving it a array of static mesh options. And I think I might need to change it to subclass, I can't remember. And so you could put, like, say you have, I'm just going to use a hypothetical, 10 different barrels. They're all the same volume. Like, they take up the same amount of world space roughly, but they're different colors, different levels of decay, damage, things like that. And you want to be able to like throw them into the world, but you don't really want to have to pick which one you want every time. So you create this actor, you populate this array with all the different static mesh you want it to randomize between. And then as you move it around the world, which is what this onConstruct does, it's when you place it into the scene or move it around the scene, it's going to randomize it based on where the actor is in the world. So I'm going to build this quickly. And this may take a moment to build. Hopefully not, because all we've done is add this actor in. And actually, while this builds, I'll talk instead of skipping the video thinking about it. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to expand on this a little bit. And what I want to do is, instead of just having this as a flat, it randomizes based on its XYZ location on the world, I want it to... What did I break in here? Is that the one I want? No. Fixing the IntelliSense. I just unloaded and reloaded the project, and I keep forgetting that it changes things here. Build dependencies. No. Build. That's what I just did. Rebuild, clean, set a startup project is what I want. There it is. I am blind. So anyways, I want to add in some options here to allow you to control, like, you want things that are randomized by the X, things that are randomized by the Y, the Z, the XY, the YZ, the XZ, the XYZ. So what we're going to be doing is an enum. And we'll be adding that after we make sure everything with this here works, because it's been a while since I've done this. So I'm going to open up the editor. You can see, where is it? TF randomized actors there. I'm going to go into our project file, the content project file, the project, the blueprints, dev, and randomized. And this is just going to be dev underscore BP rando actor. Open that up. And what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to bring the content browser back up. I'm just going to go to the main content folder, filter to static mesh, and I'm just going to grab a bunch of random things in here so you can clearly see what this is going to do. So I'm going to move this off to one side though. And where is actor options? Right here. You can see. So, okay, no, that was correct. So I'm going to give it, we'll say 5 different things. Now, one thing I noticed with this when I was working on it in the past, you can actually leave some of these blank so that you can say, I also want it to not have a mesh. So let's see, I'm going to throw a tree in there, a log in, oh, missed that, the log. Going to put a mushroom. I'm going to skip 2. We put mushroom, or sorry, the third one. Put the mushroom in there, and then put the tree stump in there. I'm going to compile. I'm going to click find that in the content browser just to go back. And you can see I've got that selected. Just have it dragged off the screen. I'm going to close out, and hopefully this doesn't implode. So, okay, there you go. So now this is, as you can see, I move it and things are changing. Now, obviously, I'm using very different actors, and you wouldn't do this in your project, but this is just, like I said, to show the example here, where you can create it so that, oh, I want 10 different trees. They're all a slight variation, and you can just use this, drag it into the world, and it's a tool to help your level designers if you have them, or if you're your own level designer like I am for myself with Solo Developer. It gives you a tool that helps speed things up, that it's like, okay, let's just move this around and get different options. So as I mentioned, though, we are going to expand on this a little bit. So I'm going to bring back the content browser here. We're going to go back to our C++ files, go back to our public folder, and this is where we're adding another data type. So we're going to right click, new class, new empty class, select your folder option if you've got this file structure, select your data type folder, F randomized vector. I'm just going to create that class. And as I mentioned, there's probably going to be a couple episodes on this here. I'm going to just click reload and stop debugging. I don't need it open. There's probably going to be a couple episodes on this sort of thing. And there goes my windows again, or my monitors. But yeah, there's going to be a couple episodes on this. And I will be expanding this to cover a couple of other things. There's going to be some randomized materials, so you can have like a car that has 5 or 6 different material sets you randomize. Randomized actor, so you could have, say, 6 different like construction site style things that all again take up similar space. So you could have like barrel, dumpster. I'm just trying to think. I can't think of the exact size, but you have a bunch of different things like barrels, crates, stuff like that, that in the world space, they take up about the same space. Obviously, there's going to be minor differences. And you can have them randomized between the randomized actors and things like that. So, again, I'm just going to pause the video quick while I fix my monitors. All right, now that's fixed. So, as with everything else, we don't need these here. Let me just get rid of those. We'll keep the source file just in case, and we can get rid of this here. So same as before, we want uStruct as a decorator, blueprint type, so it's exposed to the editor, struct f randomized vector. I named this F randomized vector when it should have been E, because this should be an enum. So completely ignore this F randomized. I'm actually going to fix that quickly. So to do that, I'm going to minimize the files, go into our data type for both our source and our header. Press F12 to rename. Because these are a data type, we haven't used or anything, we can easily do this. E randomized vector. I made sure to close out of them because we don't. Why do I have harvest actor open? We don't need those open. We don't want them open while we're doing the rename. And then reopen these. Now, you obviously need to change your include up here. E randomized vector, and that's enum class uint 8. Oh, it's going to be one of those days, isn't it? And obviously we need to also have, oh yeah, I forgot to fix that as well. Enum blueprint type. Enum class E. Enum class E. Yep. So then we just want, and this one I'm not going through with my previous naming convention of the preface with, it would be RV. I'm just going to go X, Y, Z, XY, XZ, YZ, and XYZ. Now we're going to build this. It's probably going to complain because I did that rename, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll be surprised if I'm not. And with that, just because this may take a moment, I'm going, oh no, there we go. And yeah, it imploded big time. What did I screw up here? I've not actually seen this bad before. Junk item base.com. What? Junk item base. That's rebuild maybe. Okay, I'm going to try a rebuild, and I will be back once this is done, as I know a rebuild takes a while. Okay, so that did rebuild. As you can see, everything rebuilt successfully. IntelliSense is just having a heart attack here. However, we do need to do the include e randomized vector generated .h. Now, it's going to do a quick build on this one. And this one should build very quickly because it's just adding that extra include file. Building 5 actions again. E randomized vector. Okay, so that all worked. So the whole reason I wanted to do that is I wanted to make sure there was no problems with this enum, especially after my naming convention foobar. And there you go, IntelliSense fixed itself. So I'm going to grab our include here, go back to our randomized actor header, throw that in, and then we want another U property, edit anywhere in this case, because we want it to be exposed to the editor while we're like moving it around the scene. Blueprint read only, as always, because we're not wanting the blueprints to change anything. And again, we need meta equals allow private access equals true. I really dislike how we need to add that, but e randomized vector randomization vector. Now we've added that, we're going to go back to our actual source file, and in here we're going to change things up a little bit. So I'm going to cut out the int seed because I want to keep that there. I'm going to say that it equals 0, and we're going to do a switch on randomization vector. Case X. Yeah, it doesn't like that. So we need to go e randomization vector X, case e randomization vector Y, case e randomization vector Z. And yes, as I mentioned with the way I pronounce data, bleh, I also Z and Z I interchange from my travels around the world. But anyways, so case e randomization vector XY, case e randomization XZ, case, apparently I had an extra space in there, e randomization vector YZ, and then finally case e randomization vector XYZ. XYZ, XY, XZ, YZ, XYZ. Yeah. Okay. And there shouldn't be a default case here, but just in case, I always add those in. I'll throw a break there, and we actually need to throw a break on each of these, because otherwise, as we did intentionally with our calculate day of year, it falls through and carries out all the logic. So, well, this one's going to be pretty easy. Now I've got that, I'm going to cut this section just so it's in my machine's memory. And rand seed equals, I'm going to do this for all of them, but we are going to be changing these. So for X, we just want the X location. For Y, we just want the Y location. For Z, obviously, we just want the Z location. For XY, we want the X plus Y. And this is going to be up to you. You could change the plus to a minus. You could change it to a multiply. I would not recommend changing it to a divide, because then you get the divide by 0 issue. But that's up to you what formula you want to use here, or math value, add, subtract, multiply. Add and subtract, perfectly fine in my opinion. Multiply, you're going to end up with obscenely large numbers that you don't need. And it's, again, it's only in the editor, so it's not a huge issue, but you start getting some weird multiplication and memory issues when you start using multiply. So, but anyways, X and Z, so we can get rid of the Y value. Y and Z, so we can get rid of the X value. And then here it's X, Y, Z. So that uses all three. All right, so now we've done that, we're going to do a build. And actually thinking about it, I'm going to probably take this and change it into a helper function, just because we're going to be using this logic in a lot of these helper classes we're going to be creating. But that's built, so we're going to give this a shot in the editor again and just launch that. It should build pretty quick because it's been a while since we've done anything. All right, so that's launched. Go back into our blueprint section. I can't remember if I actually saved the actor. Dev, rando actor. There it is. So open that up. You can see that's saved. And we do have our randomization vector here that defaults to the X because it's the first one in the editor, or first one in the order that we defined. So I'm going to just move this out of the way. And I'm going to bring that into the world here. And you can see right now it is set to X. So if we move it on the Y value, nothing's changing. Z value, nothing's changing. X value, though, it changes. Y value, only the Y. If we do XY, so Z value does nothing, but X does. And Y does. And it works for all of them like that, obviously, but you can see here it gives you a lot of control there. Now, there is one other change I want to make to this, because sometimes you'll have this actor, and let's pull up this here. You've got your default ones. You're like, okay, I've placed this down, I've moved it around, and actually really I want this one specific one to guarantee. I don't want it to change. So we're going to add an override just in case. So I'm actually going to, no, I don't want to save that in the world. So we're going to close out of the editor again. All right. And we're going to go back to our header file. We're going to grab the edit anywhere blueprint. Oh, my monitor, I hate you. Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to have to drop this back. All right, third time's a charm. Let's hope that's the last time it loses one of my monitors. I don't know what's with it today. It doesn't normally do it to this extent. But anyway, so we want to grab this edit anywhere because we want it exposed to the details panel when we're putting it in the world. So we're going to add in a bool override randomization equals false. And we're going to have another one, int override index. I'm going to spell it properly, equals 0. Now, there is a meta tag you can have to clamp this. However, we don't want to, because we don't know how big this is going to be at a code level. But anyway, so with that, we're going to go back to our source file. We've got this is 0, and then we're going to actually do something up here. So if override randomization, that's the Boolean, and override index is less than or equal to actor options dot num -1. So what we're saying is here is if we have the Boolean set to true and we've set that index to one that's within the range, we're going to do something. What we're going to do is quite literally, we're just going to grab this, throw it here, and instead of using IDX, we're going to use the override index and throw in a return. Now, I do understand there is functionality within the editor. You can get your blueprint there, you can find your static mesh, and you can replace. Um, I've done that, and then there's been times like actually I've come back to it later, and I'm like, no, actually, I want that barrel to be randomized a bit. I don't like that particular one now. I've done some work on the scene. And where I've used this particular one, I've used it with a project where I had like city blocks that were randomized. But anyway, so now we've got that. Let's just go around again. So you can see we have override randomized and index 0. Actually, I'm going to set this to XYZ. And index 0 is this tree. Open up this one. Index 1 is the log, 2 is nothing, 3 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's try 3. That should get rid of it. No, 2 should get rid of it, sorry. 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I've got that. My brain's... So, and then if we go out of the way, you can see there's nothing there whatsoever. We change that to 2. That's going to... the second one, 1. It's going to give us our log. 3 is going to give us our mushroom. 4 is going to give us our stump. But if we go to 5, it goes back to using the actual randomization. That's because we have an out-of-index array issue, so we've caught that. But that is going to be it for this episode, folks. This is the first of at least 3, if not 4 episodes where we're going to be working on these randomized actors. Just because, to say, these are things I found, they help speed up your level design. Just because it's like, okay, here, do this. And then I was like, oh, I don't know which of these 12 logs I want. So I'm going to put it in there, move it around, things like that. It also, something like this, actually, before I finish up, it also is going to work handy, as I mentioned, like with the project I'd worked on that had city blocks that were getting randomized. So you could have the same block put in a multitude of different locations. And it helped break up the repetitiveness. And that's where actually most of these come from. Like I had a city block I designed that had... well, here, let me pull up the actual asset. Post-apocalyptic world here from Polypixel. So this asset has these townhouse buildings. Let's see if I can find... Oh, they don't have a asset breakdown. But you can see here, it's got these townhouse buildings that, like, you can dynamically change how tall they are. So I actually had a bunch of, as I mentioned, randomized actors inside another blueprint that was a bunch, that was a randomized actor. It's like a parent-child Russian doll thing. Like I had different couches, different TVs, things like that. They were all part of a blueprint, and then that blueprint was being randomized, and it was like a 2-story, 3-story, 4-story. And then I could design one block layout, and then that block could be used 100 times, and in theory you're going to have 100 different iterations, because the fact that the city block is in different places in the game world. But anyways, folks, so as I said, I'm going to end this episode here. Hopefully this one was useful to you guys. I know it's not about the main project itself, but it is... Well, it is part of the main project. It's not about the main systems itself. This is something for level design. I do need a little bit more time to finish figuring out how I want the logic to work for the next big section I'm working on. I have the majority of it down. But what I'm going to do is, as I said, I'm going to finish up these randomized actors. There's at least 2 or 3 more. And then after that, we will start on this next, what I'm going to call a subsystem for the game. But as always, any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.